Morning folks, we're aboard the Kontra 350R and I've been asked to do a bit of a walk around by one or two folks, so I'll introduce myself. I'm Simon Everett, my crew member George.
Hello.
And we'll start at the bow and work aft. So here goes. First of all, a view of the cockpit, which we have lined with some plastic sheet from Travis Perkins, I think it was, but it's just builder's sheet, just to keep the bottom boards clean. We've done two lockers, yellow one for pollution control, green one for first aid. I appreciate that for the leisure market, those you'd probably want colour coordinated, and because this is the rescue version with a spine board, these lockers are offset. The standard lockers that sit flush will fit here and be flush. It's where the mounting block fits on the locker that is moved, not the mounting point, and they are fixed in place even though they're not bolted in. We'll show you that later. On the very bow you have an up and over step. You notice you've got some grip moulding here, grip moulding on a flat bow, and the bow itself is flat, so you can push on like to a ladder here. You can just motor and push on, and somebody easily step off safely to climb the ladder, or it could be rocks, bank of a river, anything like that. All around you have this splash rail, which is full length the whole way around. Flush fitting cleats, so there's nothing protruding to catch anybody for safety, but easy enough to employ when you need them. The forepeak properly moulded all the way around, look to prevent water ingress. It's huge. We've got our anchor tackle in there, and a bit of spare cordage, but to give you an idea, there's a litre bottle and it just pales into insignificance. In fact, it's 1.5 litres, so that'll give you an idea of the dimensions of that. Grip pads either side again, so that's the bow section done. Right, I said I'd show you these lockers. Each one of these, bear in mind this is only a 3.5 metre boat, each one of these is 100 litres, so we can get loads and loads of kit in here. Mast headlight, spare torch, first aid kit, another bit of spare cordage, a dry bag with all sorts of gubbins in it. When you can see that is a really useful, that's just one. And again, for the fishing folks, I can envisage one of these as a fish box, one as a live bait well with a little aerator in it perhaps. You've then got two more, don't forget, for lunch and gear, and they quite literally just lift out, and these block, this is where I said they secure. The ones that stick out, they put it back there. On the standard flush ones, this recess is central, so that they sit flush. On our boat, this is purely to accommodate the spine board. But as a useful thing, when we haven't got the spine board in, I can put my rods down the back of there. For commercial guys, green for first aid, yellow for pollution control, spill kit in our case, and then two red ones identical to these. This side you'll notice it all sits flush, this side there's a recess. We will make a pocket of some sort where we can put off VHF and possibly a two-way radio or other. We'll just make a pocket there because it'll be protected and out the way, it'll be ideal. That it shows you the locker space. There are 400 litres plus That, which has got to be probably 150 litres, 100 at least, it's got to be equal to that, on a 3.5 metre boat. And the beauty is they also form the seats. We have a padded seat to sit on, just to make life comfy. And space for fishing. These rails, they're fully in and they're lift capable, so we can actually sling underneath them and lift the boat if we need to. The rowlocks, they're pintle rowlocks, and the oars are handed. There lies one slight problem. These oars are just too long. They won't quite fit in the bottom of the cockpit. So I'm going to cut 4 inches off purely to allow them to fit in there. Rather than try to shape another handle, I will take it off the blades. And they're captive. So starboard oar goes in starboard side. I didn't have any green tape, so I had to use black, but I have got red tape on the other one. So you put it in the wrong way round, then swing it round, and that now is locked in, and you can row quite happily. We haven't put a thwart in. You can get a thwart that goes between these lockers that just sits in. You can put it wherever you like, so you could get a cross thwart for rowing. I stand up and row. And to ship the oar,
Making it awkward yourself, taking over.
and it lifts out. So there's a slight anomaly there with the length of the oars, which we have reported back, but I shall just modify these to suit. I forgot to put the mast away. 1 metre light mast that goes on the rail blazer mount, which we've got at the stern. We have got another couple of rail blazer mounts to mount on here that we can put rod holders or anything in. The rail blazer mount we've got for the mast is starboard quarter, so that we can put an all-round white light 1 metre high in there and comply with the collision regs. I haven't put the light on it, the light's in the bag, but that will suffice for that. You can of course use any, that's also, I shall use it for putting the transducer on when I'm using the sonar for underwater searching, or when I'm fishing to find structure to fish from. The leisure version of this is a slightly lighter build, but is still very, very robust. Now if we come aft, I'll come back in a minute when we've rejigged. We'll move the gear to keep it tidy, and I'll talk you through the after section. First thing to notice is how the engine well is cut. There are 2 versions. You can have a long shaft version, in which case this comes across at full height. Because we already had short shaft engines, we specified a short shaft, and it's only 50mm difference. But look how the engine fits into that well. You can't get it off centre. It fits in there perfectly. It might be 1/4 inch difference. 1/4 inch is 6 or 7mm, I think. Either side is the only movement that you've got. The engine will just drop straight in. Fuel tank sits here quite happily. We've got the one 12 litre tank, and that is more than enough for a day, even running the engine virtually constantly, plugging the tide. You see it sits in there. Right in the after quarters there is a small drainage well full of coffee, and where we've washed the boat down. We came down this morning and the boat was 1/4 inch thick in ice all over, and that's melted and run in the back now. I'll pump it out in a bit. You'll notice one little thing that we found the first time we put her on the water. We had loose gear on the locker here, and as we accelerated, of course the bow came up, it all slid. There's nothing to stop it going overboard. You can't do anything about it because you need that for swing room to steer, so you can't raise it. But what you do is you're just aware of the fact, and you don't leave things astern of you when you accelerate. If they were here, they just slide back into you, no problem at all. But don't think you've got so much stowage, there's no excuse for leaving stuff lying around when you're underway. Come over this side now. You'll notice the rail comes all the way around. We have an easy boarding area where there is a 3-section ladder, which the top section is on the waterline, 2 steps below waterline, just holds down, and a footstep here with a mooring cleat. Boat hook can fit on these mounts overboard, but ours just tucks in underneath the lockers that poke out, so it's easy. Put paddle in there if you wanted, although you don't actually have to have those. We specified them for the boat hook because it's part of our required equipment. And that is more or less it. It's a brilliantly thought out small boat. It's only 3.5 metres, but I can actually lay down full length in the bottom, so I could actually quite happily camp here, even with the fuel tank in. I've still got more than fuel tank ahead of my feet. So with the spine board, which fits in here, you can put casualty down here, out the way, and that's the idea of it. Leisure or commercial use, this is the commercial spec. There is a leisure spec version, which I think is going to take off really well. Thanks guys, I hope you like the boat.